WWE has been rejected by a free agent, the first one of the Endeavor era. And also on top of that, guys, we got to talk about some massive news surrounding a huge name in Japan potentially coming to WWE. And we're not talking about Will Ospreay. Guys, it's coming up right here on The Angle Show. Don't forget, I'm giving away this championship belt at $100K. Okay, guys, first I want to kick things off with NWA. I wanted to wait a day or two to really think about this because this is a really interesting story. And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, who gives a shit about the NWA? But this is massive. Now, House of Wrestling has been covering some stories about NWA and their television deal. The reported television deal was bringing NWA Power and a reality show to the CW network, which is obviously a pretty big deal for the NWA, considering that this is going to be a pretty big TV deal for them. It's going to allow them for growth and everything like that. But this past weekend, House of Wrestling dropped a very interesting scoop suggesting that a recent spot at the NWA pay-per-view actually has them in some hot water with the company, and that is because of a spot that included James Mitchell doing some and they're not happy about it. And now they believe that there is a good chance that this TV deal might fall through, and instead of CW putting Billy Corgan's company on their network, they are just going to put them on the CW app instead. And this is obviously very interesting considering that this could show you how powerful a TV network is. It's actually been rumored that Billy Corgan and the NWA were going to pay money to be on the TV network, and therefore they weren't going to get paid massive amounts of money like AEW and WWE does. But in the event that they pay to be on this TV network, it gives them a chance for growth and exposure. More TV viewers also means the ability to possibly run bigger venues as they get more popular, which could be a good long-term play. In the short term, it kind of stings. In the long term, it's actually pretty good. But now that this little spot on pay-per-view, it's got people talking, and I'm assuming that's why NWA did it, right? The clip has been shared everywhere. It's getting a massive amount of views, and people are really, really bothered by this. Now, I like to think that pro wrestling is no different than any other television show. And the reality is, if you compare it to movies and other television shows, these movies and shows have done a lot worse than that. We know it's fake. We know it's not real. We know it's scripted entertainment. But for some reason, people seem to get bothered when it happens in pro wrestling. Now, I'm not sitting here condoning it or saying, oh, this was a brilliant decision. To be honest with you, the spot did nothing for the NWA other than get people talk, and it hasn't really been a positive discussion that's happening surrounding it. So if the NWA loses their TV deal or they get moved to the CW app, that's going to be a very massive blunder, and obviously we don't want to see that happen because we want these smaller companies to grow and get bigger and better. Now, we will see how everything transpires. Keep in mind, NWA and CW never really announced anything regarding the TV deal. It always came from House of Wrestling, which has a very high accuracy rate. I want to turn our attention to Meta-4. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but PW Insider has come out and revealed that Meta-4 is expected to be at WWE Raw tonight. Now, if you don't watch WWE NXT and you might not be familiar with Meta-4, this is a very freaking fun group of people together killing it on television, but they're a comedy group in a sense. You know, it's a very comedic faction. However, if done seriously, these guys and girls could be incredible on WWE television. My guess, WWE's bringing them in for main event tapings, put them in front of the live crowd, bigger crowd, see how they perform, and then give them a chance to, kind of get over, right? WWE has something special with this group. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, long term, could potentially become an actual women's tag team that can compete for women's tag team championships if WWE plays their cards right. Oro Menza and Noam Dar used to kill it in NXT UK. They come to America, they kill it in America. These guys and girls are awesome. I want to see them on television, but I want to see them more serious. And unfortunately, if you look at the WWE and how they have groups, this kind of reminds me of The Way. I know you guys love Johnny Gargano. I know you guys love Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. But when they made it to the WWE main roster, it was kind of like a comedic group. It was not the same level of intensity and aggression that the Bloodline has or the Judgment Day or the New Hurt Business, right? I think this kind of group could thrive on the main roster, but it's going to be in a more comedic role. I don't know how I feel about that until I see them actually get called up. It will be very interesting to see what WWE does here, but I'm a big fan of what they've done. They've made the Heritage Cup transition to the United States in a very positive way. And the best part is Oro Mensah and Noam Dar are absolutely incredible in the ring. So I'm going to kind of wait and see, and hopefully it all goes well. I want to turn our attention to some very, very shocking news. PW Insider just dropped this big scoop. Julia is reportedly in talks with WWE. According to PW Insider today, PW Insider reported that WWE talks with Julia are far enough along that Julia is expected at the WWE Performance Center this month. Now, guys, if you don't know who Julia is, she is incredible. I honestly cannot say enough about this. Julia is absolutely incredible. Very, 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 very talented superstar in the world of wrestling. Not just Japan, but when I look at globally, when we talk about some of the biggest names that are in the women's division across the board, Julia is like top 3 on my list. She is up there. And I actually believe that Julia, for the longest time, is the one that a lot of people tend to say would transition to American television probably the best. Now, there's been rumors for a while that New Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, AEW, Stardom, Impact, all these different companies have looked at Julia as being a part of their forefront for when it comes to their women's division. I look at Julia going to AEW as like a sure thing. That's how I used to look at it, because she just really made sense for AEW. That doesn't appear to be the case. If WWE is this far along in talks, this might be a massive free agent signing. And then you have to wonder, with WWE trying to build out their women's division, and WWE, it almost kind of seems like WWE is raiding Japan for women's talent. But if WWE is successful with this, Julia could be a massive, massive, massive star as long as they don't change her. But there's a reason why I'm talking about this. Apparently, WWE has lost out on Sareee. Yeah. According to Sean Ross Sapp, well, actually, it came from a press release, but Sean Ross Sapp put out a tweet today with a press release from Sukaban, who announced that they've signed Sareee to the company. Now, this would be the first Endeavor era free agent that has turned down the company, right? They were in talks with Sareee. She's not coming to the WWE. WWE's in talks with Julia. If they don't get Sareee, but they get Julia, that's massive. If WWE secured both, that would be massive. If WWE doesn't secure either one of them, that might be a big red flag as to why people aren't signing with the WWE. Now, the good thing is WWE is not the end-all, be-all of the wrestling industry. The best thing is WWE is a top company, and they're working on their women's division. But ultimately, if WWE really wants to get people to sign with them, you cannot be a flash in the pan with the women's division. You got to consistently book them, put them on TV, show that they matter. So WWE got rejected by Sareee. She's going to Sukaban, which is an all-Japanese wrestling women's promotion in the United States. She's going to be doing the second show that they have, which is planned for December. It's interesting that WWE lost out on her. Not necessarily shocked that they did. But now if you're bringing in Julia, that kind of makes up for it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't like the comparison game, but it is interesting that WWE is starting to really look at the Japanese women's promotions as far as like a recruiting effort. And I think WWE is very smart for doing that. But who knows, man? This is crazy. I mean, AEW didn't bring in Sareee. TNA didn't bring in Sareee. WWE didn't bring in Sareee. That's good for wrestling. More wrestling companies, smaller wrestling companies have a chance to grow when you're bringing in top talent. This is awesome. I want to know what you guys think. Don't forget, I'm giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers. I'll see you next time.